first thing that you need before you can create that ideal habitat is the enclosure. What are you going to be housing your isopods in? Is it going to be a terrarium, a vivarium, an aquarium, or just simply a plastic bin? Bins of various sizes. So if I only have like 5 to 10 animals up until 50 animals, a 6-quart bin, plastic bin with ventilation works perfect. For probably a few hundred isopods, you can go with the 15-quart bin. That gives them plenty of room and space to grow. And again, depending on the species, if they're very big species, you want to give them more space. And for my Porcellio, large Porcellio species, or species that I have a lot of, I'll use, I think this is a 30 or 28, yeah, it's a 28 quart bin. So yeah, pick the right size enclosure depending on how many animals you have. So the first base material you'll use in your enclosure is going to be the substrate. A combination of peat moss, cocoa fiber, organic soil, some lump coal, some sphagnum moss, some wood shavings. Yeah, I put in quite a bit of stuff into my substrate. There's another video on that if you want to take a look. I actually have 2 videos. One's sort of the complicated substrate version, the more expensive way, and then I have the simple way, which made this batch here actually. So the substrate is going to go in first. So next we have some bark, and we'll use that to put on top of the substrate so the isopods have something to hide under. And then we have sphagnum moss. You can use terrarium moss as well. It's extra food, hardwood dry leaves, put in all the enclosures. Hardwood sawdust. Its last but certainly not least is the cuttlebone, the source of calcium for the isopods. You want to make sure that your enclosure, your habitat always includes a source of calcium. Okay, so that's the set of ingredients that are going into our new habitat in our 15 or 16 quart container. Okay, so substrate goes in first. I like to add an inch and a half of substrate to most of my bins. For the species that I know burrow deeper, like the Cubaris, some Cubaris species, even Lavis love to burrow, I'll add 2 to 3 inches of substrate. Plenty of spots for them to burrow and find the ideal area that they prefer. Next we'll add some bark pieces. We're going to put that on the dry side. The dry side is always going to be where your ventilation holes are. That's going to keep that area nice and dry. And your sphagnum moss in the other corner where there's no holes, so it retains its moisture for a longer period of time. So we'll just build this up, create different layers, different areas for the isopods to go and hide and explore. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to be putting in here yet, so I'm just going to make a very generic starting enclosure and then change it if I need to. Next I'll add sphagnum moss. I'll probably add, I always typically add like 2 inches of sphagnum moss. And of course before you put in your isopods, or when you put isopods in here, make sure that you moisten that and keep that moist. Next, I'm going to add some leaves. Put the leaves in the dry area. Just on top here. Again, other areas where the isopods can go out and go and hide. Next, we'll add a corner of wood shavings. Another area for them to go forage and burrow in. And next, bone source of calcium for the isopods. All right, so that completes our isopod habitat. All we're missing is some little cuties running around in here, some food for them, and they're all set. Okay, so now that we have our habitat ready for some isopods, there's gonna be some lucky girls and guys that are gonna get to use this. I hope this video was informative and you've learned something today. If you have any questions, please post some in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. My name is Martin from isopodcorner.ca. Thanks.